What kind of character would you like to play in my campaign? Oh, that depends on what the party needs. I'll adjust. Parties tend to work out either way. What do you want to play? Characters that facilitate development. Just give me anything useful, really. I can make it work with anything. Really, just tell me what you'd prefer to play. Fertility cleric of an impreg god. Go back. Hello everyone and welcome back to another episode of the Bear Bar Tales. It is I, the one bear who barely avoids using far too many bear puns in these videos. So you'll need to bear with me here. The Bear Bard. This week we actually have a user-submitted story that was sent through the subreddit, which I love receiving. This story covers the OP's unfortunate first experience with D&D that was almost their undoing. Now, before we get started, if you like this type of content and you want to hear more Bear Bard, make sure to give this video a like. Then, show that sub button some love. Every sub I get... What the fuck is that? You're saying you're called a Mossy, and you live here in the forest? And that you've been watching me for a while to see if I was gonna leave?
Yeah.
And now that I'm not, you've decided to help me out with these stories?
Yeah.
Well, shit. I guess the bear's got minions now. I sure hope you guys don't turn out to be evil and planning on taking over the channel or anything. Right. Well, let's go ahead and get this started, shall we?
Yeah.
The story today is titled, My First Experience with D&D and How It Almost Broke Me. I do need to put in here a few potential trigger warnings. Apologies for the length and format. I admit I'm new to this and I have a lot to get off my chest. This is more or less me slaying the dragon that's been in my mind for many years. To anyone who might read this out loud, the crab, bear, hey, that's me, bird, dragon, or whoever tells stories, my name is pronounced BrenTenkageHunter. Alright, this happened, I want to say around 2013 or 2014. Long ago, I've always wanted to play D&D. I've seen it referenced in pop culture media like Dexter's Lab and Recess. Seemed like a fun game. I had the chance to play 4th edition thanks to a mall gaming store. Yeah, not exactly a good start. No, my real first start is when I discovered Roll20 and I got to play D&D 3.5, or so I thought. This isn't a one-time story, but more of a series of events that nearly broke me. For context, I'm a guy with high-functioning autism, depression, and ADHD. Basically, a bit of a whirling emotional problem. For the people who I joined, they seemed alright, willing to teach me how to play 3.5, or I thought they would. I did learn via the website, but I admit I was never good at focusing and reading. I'm a tactile learner, so I had to follow their advice. Their advice wasn't good. A lot of information that nowadays I laugh at, like literally rolling spellcraft to cast a spell, and no limit on skill points you can put on a specific skill. No joke, if you saw the sheet, you'd think an 8-year-old who just got into playing D&D with their family wrote it. My first character, Sir Crom, named after a Fire Emblem protagonist, he was a paladin. I figured since he could heal and swing a sword, I could fill 2 roles and I planned not to be that guy after watching Spoonie's Counter Monkey. I don't remember much of the adventure, outside of him and the group portal hopping, like ending up in a realm of vampires where darkness won. No, I don't think it was their take on Strahd and Barovia. And to find the next portal from that vampire realm, we had to go through a dungeon where we fought the first boss of Dark Souls, complete with a mechanic to climb up on its back. We turned in for the session having leveled up to 4, saying we should start next time going through the portal. Now, stepping back, things seemed normal. We were having fun and I was hooked, or rather, I felt I had no choice. I was desperate for D&D and some companionship, so I kinda ignored the verbal abuse. They would mock me in the, it's just a joke kind of way, criticize my character creation, and more importantly, my connection to the character I make. I like to think each character I've ever made has a piece of me inside. The GM, she's kind of a sadist. I mean, I'm not kink-shaming, but she was into bondage things. Maybe another reason I kinda stayed, the idea of a more adult D&D game intrigued me. Whoa, 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 whoa. Bro, you cannot just go and take over a story break. I mean, first off, they can't understand you. So you basically just yelled at them in gibberish. Plus, it's still my video. Now get. Oof. Well, he was right about one thing. It really sucks that these friends took advantage of our OP. He really wanted to get into the game, and honestly, he just wants to be around people. And they want to tear into him? No one should have to put up with that for a game. Here, the old adage of no D&D is better than bad D&D. Not really sure where the kink thing comes into play, but I guess we'll see. Maybe? Hey. Back to the next session. I want to say a week after the game. We start, and she calls out, "All right, you step through the portal. Roll a reflex save." Okay, fair enough. I roll a nat freaking 1. The last thing Crom sees is him falling through the air and a spike piercing his eye into his brain. That's right, for one failed save, my level 4 paladin, who is in +1 plate mail, 3 ability bonus in constitution so I have more health, just insta-died. Yeah, turns out the portal landed us in the air above some spikes. Don't remember metal or stone, but either way, I was devastated. Rightfully angry, especially since another player rolled low, I want to say like a 7, but didn't even get hurt, just me. I of course protested. It was my first character. I knew death could happen, but I figured I'd at least die like a paladin saving the team, holding back the BBEG, or maybe falling on his sword before he became corrupted or something. Not like this. The GM refused to change anything, despite me now crying. She said I shouldn't be upset, it's just a game, and besides, now I can play with a new character. I understand that yes, it is a game. However, like I said, I put a piece of myself inside each character I make, so it was like a part of myself died. I should have left, but I didn't. They told me if I didn't stay, I'd ruin the game, so I made a new character, Lena Inverse. Yes, Old Taku might recognize that name of the sorcerer badass lead of Slayers. Yeah, I decided to play a sorcerer and focus on lightning. She didn't last too long. First off, she was molested by a dragon who looked like Sherlock Holmes as played by Benny Boy Cucumber. Yeah, she had to submit to him to find the portal. I thought it was hot back then, but in retrospect, I had no say in the matter. Yeah, I admit, I really hated reading that line. I'm chalking this one up to a young person who did a lame thing that looks back and regrets what they did. Then we ended up through the portal, with the DMPC Dragon Man with us, taking us to Equestria, becoming bona fide versions of us. Yeah, that happened. I was a brony, but I never asked for this. But they said, yeah, it's for you. We didn't stay long. We were at an inn and got attacked by creepy pasta people. One person was in a room filling up with water thanks to a brony who couldn't stop crying. Ben drowned. I think Jeff the Killer was chasing another member. And Lena, she got Slender Man, who, well, if you've seen hentai, you have an idea of what happened. Definitely a huge red flag. Hell, I even said, maybe we not do this. It kinda takes the tension away, cause I just wanted to fight, but they ignored that. At least I didn't get killed by Jeff, who got a brutal description of the gore that happened to that poor rogue. The next portal took us into space, landing us on the Enterprise, where we were put into cells. After all, we were strangely dressed people and aliens who they had no idea how we got on board. Lena wanted to stay and explain things. After all, that nice elf Spock didn't seem to want to hurt her. We were in a cell with a man named Khan. Yes, that Khan, who rolled a diplomacy to convince the party to follow him on a breakout. Yeah, 2 things. 1, that would be a bluff. And 2, we all failed, so we were supposed to obey him. Say it with me. Diplomacy is not mind control. Even I knew that this was pretty off, and again, my protests were told off as, I'm new, or I just don't want to have fun. Seriously, OP here said it, and I cannot stress this enough, that high persuasion roll is not mind control. If you want to mind control your players into a nice set of railroad tracks, that's fine I guess, but do it through actual mind control. It's built into the freaking game already. The breakout happened and we took some weapons. Lena getting a phaser since her magic for some reason wouldn't work in this dimension. Bit of a problem, but then we met up with Spock and some red shirts and I say, Lena in her panic pulls the trigger. since this was role-playing and I figured she definitely didn't want to hurt anyone in this situation. The DM said, "Alright, roll to hit." I nat 20'd and she said, "I'm gonna roll something." I heard dice hit the table and there was a pause. It was set to kill. Lena now sees Spock turn to dust before her very eyes. I roleplayed Lena falling to her knees in shock. She didn't want to kill anyone and she was sobbing that she surrendered and she just wanted to go home. Know what happened next? Khan took the phaser and shot Lena. No rolls, no dice, just insta-killed her with her hearing, "I don't tolerate cowards." That was enough to force me to step back. All this time I would be picked on. When I snapped back, I was told it's my fault and forced to come back groveling after crying myself to sleep. It was a rough time for me, but I finally grew a pair and stood up for myself and told them where they could shove it. I left, I blocked them on Skype and everything. Throughout the year, I kept trying to find groups. I must have been through 5 and each time they would crash and burn. I admit I lost control of myself. I was an emotional wreck and I look back on my tantrums and meltdowns with cringe. Then I met the final group. I told myself if this doesn't work out, I leave and quit D&D. The group did dissolve, but not my fault this time. This was Pathfinder and it dissolved due to the GM having his schedule mess him up. But one player took me and another guy to his own game he wanted to do. Since then, 2015, looking back at my previous Roll20 games, we've been the 3 amigos. Sure, the GM does a bit of kinky stuff, but unlike the original GM, he asks what everyone is comfortable with, and has it for more silly stuff, like shoes that turn you into a bimbo but give you a bonus, stuff like that. Those guys saved me. If I had never met them, I might have gave up tabletop games and might have become a more emotional wreck. They stood by me and brought me out of a dark place. I'm glad I could finally write all this down and get it off my chest. This may have been a horror story, but it is also proof that there is a light at the end of the tunnel. You can find a group that's right for you. You can become a better person. Thanks for sticking around for this long to read. I hope your day goes well. Signed, BrenTenkageHunter. Oh boy, that was a roller coaster of a story. I mean, where do you start here? First off, the real bad trigger warning stuff, not much to say. It's gross and unnecessary. Again, chalking it up to young people not knowing better and hopefully now being better. Then the verbal abuse. I have a feeling there was a lot of this happening that went unsaid in the story. It's just a hunch, but that really breaks my heart. I know what it's like to ignore red flags like this, thinking it's just how it's supposed to be, and that you're the weird one for not accepting it without issue. No one should have to deal with that stuff for anything, especially in what should be your escape. Now, one thing I appreciated about this story while reading it was that it felt like it had a lot behind it, a lot of emotion behind those words. And I know that probably sounds a bit sappy, but honestly, you can tell that this meant a lot to the OP. This was a story that was important for them to tell, and I'm glad it ended well. Everyone deserves to have their people. There's more I'm sure I could harp on in here, like the persuasion equals mind control and the other complete losses of player agency in situations like insta-deaths, or the complete reliance of real-world references for stories, but I feel like that would take away from the ending of the story. So I'll go ahead and end it here and move right into the bear facts. Kodiak bears are the largest distinct subspecies of the brown bear. Physiologically, the Kodiak bear is similar to the other brown bear species, but with the main difference being its size. Kodiak bears regularly reach 660 pounds to 1,320 pounds and have sometimes been known to exceed 1,500 pounds. This brown bear population only occurs on the islands of the Kodiak archipelago: Kodiak, Afognak, Shuyak, Raspberry, Uganik, Sidkaladak, and adjacent islands. No, I did not forget about this week's submission to the Bear Bard's Cave of Art and Wonders.
Yeah.
This week's submission comes to us from the user Hybert, who has done something we were all waiting for, and that's bringing us all Femboy Bear Bard. I have to say I love the details here, with the callback to an old opener and all the bear facts in the background. I feel like being turned into a femboy is part of the process to becoming a real YouTuber. So for that, I thank you. If you want your art to be featured in an episode, make sure to submit it to either the email in my About section or to the Discord directly. I have absolutely loved seeing people's art of the Bear Bard. It's humbling that people have taken the time and effort with this character. With that said, I think I'm going to go ahead and call it a day. I want to thank you guys for sticking through it to the end. I also want to thank my new friend here, the Mossies. I'm pumped to see these guys more here on the channel. Wow! That wasn't anywhere near appropriate. I'm glad they couldn't understand that. By the way, how do I understand you? Oh, that makes sense. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to like the video and give the channel a sub if you haven't already. If you want to hear more from the Bear Bard, you can find me on Discord, Reddit, Facebook, Twitter, and TikTok. You can also check out the Bear Bard Tales podcast if that's your sort of thing. I just recorded the next episode of Fireside Chat with the Bear Bard, so hopefully that'll be up soon. For now though, this has been the Bear Bard. Stay kind, stay beautiful, and keep on living the Bard life.